So I made some earrings out of some wavy metal that I puffed out on a hydraulic press. If you've got a few minutes, I'll talk about how I made them. I started by doming the metal. You can see how I did that in this video here. Then I traced the shape onto some paper and scanned it into the computer. I then used a CAD program to trace the shape, offset it, and then lay out where the prongs are going to go. This design was printed out onto some paper and then cut out of sterling silver. I drill holes for the prong wires so that nothing can misalign itself during the next few steps. And for this I want a tight fit, so I drill my holes slightly smaller than they need to be and then use a reamer to open them very slowly. This whole assembly is then put onto a cheap fire brick, and the prongs are hammered in from the back. I do it this way because I will be soldering it here from the back, as it is significantly easier to clean up than it would be if you were to do it from the front. Plus, I don't have to worry about adding too much solder, which I will, and you can't stop me. Now, some of this footage is from a Zoom class, so I apologize for the lack of fidelity. Just pretend that it's a retro throwback to 2006. Because for Zoom, it's always the mid-2000s. Anyway, the back is really easy to clean up. I just take a nice broad file to it, and then use some sandpaper wrapped around an aluminum bar to sand it smooth. The prongs are then trimmed, filed, and then their height is checked against the little piece of mokume in the center. Normally these prongs are way too thick, but I like to thin them out towards the top so that I can still push them over, but still retain that sort of like beefy profile. It's definitely not very practical, but I do it in my work because I like the way it looks. Once everything looks good, I tape off the back plate with some painter's tape and then go to town filing those prongs. The tape's there to prevent the file from scratching up the metal too much. It's a royal pain in the neck to clean up a flat surface like this once you have prongs sticking out. After a bit of cleanup, I test fit everything again and then take the mokume out and finish the rest of my fabrication. I textured everything with a bead blaster and then tape off the stone with some vinyl watch band tape. This is to prevent anything from getting scratched in the next step, where I take a piece of brass that I filed a notch into and then try and push those prongs over. Now these prongs are dummy thick, so I'm going to have to use a brass punch and a hammer to fold them over. Mokume is very hard to see when you polish it up, so I just hit it with some pumice powder. This leaves a more reasonable satin finish and makes it easier to see the pattern. But that's about it really. These are going to be in my shop if anyone wants to buy them, and there'll be a matching pendant coming out soon-ish. I don't know, time is subjective. I constantly feel like that one part in the Dark Tower where the pocket watch they have starts speeding up and slowing down and going backwards whenever they're near the tower.